Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin alongside Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer, how are we doing today?
Can't do any better than when Super Bowl is right around the corner, man. It is a good week.
We have a fantastic episode for you because we have the Super Bowl matchup ready. The Chiefs against the Eagles. This is a fantastic matchup. We're going to get right into it. But first, we have some things that we need to talk about because today is a big day. A lot has happened within a 3-day span within the NFL. The Super Bowl has been decided. Sean Payton goes to the Broncos alongside DeMeco Ryans. But as of today, Tom Brady retires.
Yep, it is. He came out this morning with a quick little Twitter video thanking everybody for a career. And all bullshit aside, commendable for Tom Brady. You are the best ever. There is no man to do it like you did. You played pretty much perfect for most of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Hats off to an amazing career, first ballot Hall of Fame. Go enjoy retirement.
Yeah, congrats to Tom Brady and all that you've done within your football career. Your football career rewrote the NFL history as we knew it, and we just thank you for everything, Tom, and enjoy retirement, man. Because that's what was it, 23 years?
23 years, 7 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances, I think it was.
10 Super Bowl appearances.
Right, so 70% Super Bowl completion rate. One of the best ever. Again, the greatest of all time. It's just what it is.
Absolutely. So, congrats to Tom Brady. Enjoy retirement. But the other big news hitting this week was also Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Give me your quick thoughts on that.
For a first-round pick, I want that to be very clear that the Denver Broncos gave up a first-round pick for Sean Payton. Only the 4th coach ever to be traded for a 4th-round pick. One of them, believe it or not, was John Gruden when he went to the Raiders.
Yep.
That I didn't know. I didn't know John Gruden was traded for a first-round pick for a 10-year contract for him to be gotten rid of after like 3 years or 4 years or some shit like that. Sean Payton to the Broncos is interesting. It's going to take I think it's still going to take some growing pains because he's been out of the game for a little while. The game's gotten a lot faster in a matter of 2 years since he's left. And Drew Brees and Russell Wilson are 2 different players, so he's going to have to really figure out what's going on, and there's going to be a lot of answered questions as to what the problem really was in Denver, whether it was Russell Wilson or if it was the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sean Payton's another Hall of Fame coach, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If a Hall of Fame coach comes in and they have the same issues, I'm pretty sure it'll be almost like a clear-cut answer as to who the issue and what the problem really is there.
Mm-hmm.
So, eyes wide for Denver because it could turn into something great.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Hey, getting Sean Payton is a big step going forward. Is he the Messiah? No, he's not the Messiah in Denver, but he will be able to, he has a vision for what he wants. He watched this team as a commentator on Fox, and so he got to see it from a different perspective. And they do have the potential for the makings of a great team, but it's kind of out of the frying pan and into the fire because now you're in the AFC West with the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Mahomes alongside Justin Herbert, and the Raiders are there as well. I mean, the Raiders can do something good.
The Raiders are one of those teams with the potential to be great,
Yeah, but for the Broncos, it's going to be tough because you're going to be against perpetual playoff contenders.
Correct.
Throughout this entire duration.
Right, and when you look over in the longevity of Sean Payton's career in the division with the Saints, like that, it's kind of like a 50-50 division with the Saints. You have the Saints, then I believe it's the Falcons.
Yeah, with Matt Ryan and then
right.
They were duking it out. That was a good rivalry between Dan Quinn and Sean Payton.
I like Dan Quinn as a coach, but he plummeted to earth. Yeah. But you look over now into the AFC, it's just an ever-growing division.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said, they're both forever contending teams for the playoffs. So it's going to be a lot different, especially because I personally feel the AFC is the harder conference overall when it comes to talent. For some reason, the AFC, it just always feels like every game is a must-win, like we were saying all year.
Yeah, absolutely. The AFC is absolutely loaded. It's loaded within that division, but man, it's going to be tough sledding for the Broncos going forward. But hey, like baby steps.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. That's all it takes. Before we move on, D'Amico Ryan to the Houston Texans.
I like it. I like that a lot. 2006 Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Pro Bowler from Houston. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back and he'll pick up Lovie Smith as a coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Lovie Smith. He was given a lot of flack for what happened in Houston, but he was put in a position to fail, which is really unfortunate. I would think that to bring him back as some type of defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, whatever, you want to have Lovie Smith's mind on your sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame if he winds up not on a team. But talking about Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
But D'Amico Ryan, I like his playbook. I believe he was the offensive coordinator for the 40.
Defensive coordinator for the 49ers. Yep.
So you like his playbook. So maybe it'll be a couple steps in the right direction, but like you just said, it's baby steps.
Yep.
And what's good about this is that they have an early draft pick, so they can start clean slate 100% from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they still have Will Fuller, the wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's still there, so that's a good starting point if you want to keep him. If not, you could start completely from scratch and draft anew, do smart in the free agency, and probably within the next 5 years or so, I think Houston could be contending.
Yeah, especially in the AFC South. That division fluctuates very frequently. Teams can really rise up in the AFC South, so I would not be surprised if Houston were contenders within the future, within a certain time frame. But D'Amico Ryan, again, like we said with the Broncos, baby steps. It's a step in the right direction, and that's all you could ever ask for.
Yeah. So very promising for those upcoming teams.
Absolutely. So we're going to get more into that in the offseason. But before we get into the offseason, we need to talk about the Super Bowl and this matchup. So it is the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, my God. This is a fantastic matchup. The best of the best going against each other. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, the Andy Reid Bowl, the Kelsey Bowl.
Yeah, the Kelsey brothers are finally facing each other. Travis Kelsey on the Chiefs, Jason Kelsey on the Eagles. Both players are Hall of Famers without a doubt, and arguably the best in their respective division. I mean, in their respective position. One thing I do want to give a shout out to, though, from this past conference game is Brock Purdy. Torn UCL, is going to need Tommy John surgery and will be out for upwards of 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very heartbreaking fact to know that he has to go through Tommy John surgery. For those who don't know, that is the same injury that Josh Allen fell victim to in about week 6 of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he played through the rest of the year, so this kid took one hit and he was done. Imagine the damage that happened to Josh Allen throughout playing the rest of the year.
Yeah, so I do want to take a moment to talk about how the Eagles got their path to the Super Bowl, because that game against the 49ers, that game was very decided early because of that injury to Brock Purdy. Within the first drive of the 49ers, Brock Purdy got hit by Hassan Reddick and just absolutely obliterated this man's elbow. It looked, again, like the injury to Josh Allen when he played against the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was week 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But again, just defender coming in right on their elbow at the point where they're about to throw a ball, and it just hits them at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it just... You hate to see it, man. And we wish Brock Purdy, we wish you and all the injured players that were injured this year, we all wish you guys a speedy recovery, man, because it sucks to go through injury and to be so bad to the point where the fourth-string quarterback comes in, Josh Johnson.
Falls victim to a concussion.
And then, he falls victim to a concussion. And then Brock Purdy has to go back in.
but he can't throw.
And he can't throw. But also like shout out to Josh Johnson. Like you tried, man, and we hope you have a speedy recovery, man. But it was very painful to see your head hit. It was very reminiscent of Tua this year.
Yeah, it was rough. And you and I were talking off air. Like, this kid hasn't played in a very long time. Talking Josh Johnson, He has not played in a long time, and your first appearance is in a conference title game. I'd be shitting myself.
Yeah.
Promptly especially because of the defense, the absolute animals that are on Philly. They're absolutely just goons on that defense, and they're just ready to be physical and nasty. I forgot that Ndamukong Suh was an Eagle, number one. And he's like the forefront of the goons in the league. So, shout out Brock Purdy. Hope you heal up right. But moving on to Philly, man, they are unfreaking believable.
Yeah, they are absolutely unbelievable. They are one of the best running teams I've ever seen in the league. They have a running back by committee style, and everyone plays their role so effectively where it's like they can have at one point feel like 3 to 4 running backs on the field at the same time, because you have Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Rashad Gainwell, and then you also have Jalen Hurts.
Right.
So you have, and then on the outside when you're not running the ball, you have 2 of the best wide receivers between A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. There was a very controversial play in the Philly 49ers game on Philly's first drive. We saw this where Devonta Smith caught it, but it was not, and they were able to get the snap off and play the next play, so they couldn't review it. But it was a long ball, and it was not really a catch. We thought it was.
Well, I can't.
I thought it was.
As that play was happening, and I saw the replay, and that was a drop.
Yeah, it was absolutely a drop.
It was a drop. And for the 49ers not to call a timeout for a review, a poor decision-making there.
Yeah, especially in the first half, too. I think coaches need to understand, it's like, in the first half, you could really challenge stuff and really kind of get a replay, especially when you're away as well, because that's when you're home. The home team ain't going to show you that replay on the Jumbotron.
No, they're not going to want to.
So they didn't have a clear view of it. But obviously, in hindsight, that's something that could have changed the outcome of the game even just a little bit. It would have. Not saying that Brock Purdy still would have got hurt, but it could have changed how they aligned on defense.
Definitely could have changed the momentum.
And so, but honestly, once the Eagles took momentum this game, they were just unstoppable on a roll, and it was really fun to see. If you look at everyone's stats, it doesn't look very glamorous, but it was hard running, effective. We knew exactly what this was going to happen. The better running team is just going to win,
right.
And Philly was just clearly the better running team. But man, Jalen Hurts looks good. The Eagles look good. That defense looks great.
I love that defense, dude.
They play really Slay on the corner.
Yes. Listen, that entire Philly roster, they're just different this year. They are that much faster than everybody they play. And people still sell them short that, they have an easy schedule, this, that, the third. That's not the case. You got to remember, all these teams that they're playing are still professionals, and they know how to prepare. You can't prepare for the talent that is in Philly right now on both sides of the ball. It's just that simple. Devonta Smith on the left, and then you have A.J. Brown on the right. You have Dallas Goedert in the middle. And then you're essentially running a 4-man full house package on offense at all times because, like you said, everybody can run. So being able to run triple option with passing schemes the entire time, and then you have, in my opinion, the best offensive lines that ever touched the turf in front of you, so you can have an MVP caliber year. There's not much to say that Philly won't steamroll just about anybody.
They just look like a very well-rounded team on offense, defense, special teams. They just look very supreme, that everyone is playing at their highest level, and it's just clicking so well.
100%. They are in complete and total unison, and for the machine that they are, the gears are spinning so fast. They're just faster than everybody. They run circles around people. They make it look unfair.
Yeah.
It's unfair at points with them. Just look away from the scoreboard for a second, and you just look at the sheer aggression, the conditioning, everything that that Philly's doing is just that much ahead of every team they've played this year, and it's just you can't look away from it. The only team that I think is running at that same pace is Kansas City.
Yeah,
where it looks unfair at some point.
Yeah, but these teams are the best at what they do. They are just so good at what they do. The Eagles are, like you said, a well-rounded machine where they just were on a roll. In the playoffs, they had 2 blowout wins against 2 really good teams. Against the Giants, who looked very good, very well improved under Brian Daboll. And then you play against the 49ers, the best defense in the league, and then their whole offense just crumbles because of injury.
Right.
So you blow them out, but man, you're not going to blow out the Chiefs. They're not. This is not going to be a blowout game
by any means on either side.
Okay, so that was a little bit of the Eagles' path to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs in the conference title game. Man, you hate to see officiating be a part of the game. But there was a lot of flags being thrown. But aside from officiating, the Bengals' weakness showed. It reared its ugly head. In the first quarter, Joe Burrow got sacked 3 times.
I saw that, yeah.
That was insane. Chris Jones, man, he took over the game. He had a stellar game, and he was a person that we mentioned last week too.
That was going to have a big game for them to wind up.
And he did. Out. He had 2 sacks. And he was absolutely Chiefs had 5 in total against the Bengals.
Oh my god! 3 came in the first quarter in this round.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the Chiefs, they are playing extremely well. The Chiefs' offensive line, they don't get a lot of love too, but they are playing phenomenal. Humphrey, their center, he is a Pro Bowl center, and the Chiefs actually on Pro Football Focus, they were actually ranked the #1 passing offensive line, like in pass blocking. And to think like that is great.
So it's the #1 pass offense versus the #1 rush offense.
Yeah, well, and also because Mahomes also he threw for the most yardage, 42 touchdowns,
42 touchdowns over
13
5,000
picks,
yards.
The passing yards record over Drew Brees. Right. Now he's going to get his MVP. This is going to be his second MVP. In 5 years, second MVP in 5 years. That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Patrick Mahomes is just playing on a whole nother level. We're just watching a Hall of Famer be great. And the Chiefs are just greatness personified because it's not just the greatness of Mahomes, but also the greatness of Andy Reid. And the Chiefs are set up to win. They are set to contend. And they're still the team to beat in the AFC. Mahomes, he had on one leg, he had a Hall of Fame performance against the Bengals.
And you and I, funny enough, you and I were actually saying that that's what he was going to need to get past.
And he did it.
And he did it. He answered the call, and a lot of hats off to Andy Reid, man, because he's a big precursor to him being able to mold him into being what we see today. He's a generational talent when it comes to genetics. His athleticism is the bar for what you want to be as an athlete. But if he was put in the wrong situation with the wrong coach, we would see a lot of problems. Like almost, I'm not going to say a Josh Allen with a lot of problems, but almost like a Josh Allen situation where you take one piece away from him, Brian Daboll, his issues start to arise. Andy Reid is that coach. He came in, I believe it was Eric Bieniemy, who was also the coordinator at the time when Patrick Mahomes first came in.
He's still on the Chiefs.
He's still there, right?
Yeah, he's still on the Chiefs. He's still the offensive coordinator.
Right. So you have 2 great coaches to help you mold yourself into being what you are. I love Eric Bieniemy.
He's
love
so
Eric
creative.
Bieniemy. Yeah. He's in the perfect situation to become a Hall of Fame quarterback. When it comes to coaching, it was almost like the same thing with Tom Brady. You couldn't ask for a better coach to get him in with. I think we're seeing another greatest of all time forming in Kansas City.
Honestly, this is the Chiefs beating the Bengals 23-20. It was really a historic game. I will say this though. Again, the officiating wasn't that well, but even still, like the Chiefs just seemed like the better team overall. They really wanted this one, and they got it. And but I mean, the Bengals are here to stay too. The
Yeah.
Bengals are definitely here to stay, and to be so close and almost push overtime against the Chiefs, that would have been great to see. But Chiefs get the ball. They were the last team to get the ball. Essentially, Mahomes drives down the field. They get a unnecessary roughness call where a linebacker on the Bengals pushed Mahomes out of bounds. That was an unnecessary roughness call, but even still, to get a penalty at the wrong time that really set up the field goal, it's hard.
You see, and that is just a little bit of the ugliness that has been the history of Cincinnati, is peeking its ugly head around. Almost like when you look back at the Philly-San Francisco game, prior to that game, they had 3 penalties in 2 games. Going in during that game, they had 12 penalties throughout the game.
Yep.
So San Francisco beat themselves that way, and the lack of discipline from the history of Cincinnati is just always it's going to be there as like a festering infection for that franchise, is where there's always going to be one player who lets his emotions get the best of him at the absolute worst time. And that's going to be your downfall, and they need to wrap that up and get rid of it. They need to cut that off, whatever. You gotta tame that. There's always one in Cincinnati where it just doesn't, that's not going to work. It's not going to work here.
Right.
You want to win a championship, you need to be disciplined for 60 minutes. And that's what really ultimately beat them there was, Kansas City is just more disciplined.
Yeah, they are definitely the more disciplined team, and you and I have been talking about that for the whole season. That it comes to coaching, discipline and penalties come down straight to coaching, and sometimes players, it's really hard to control yourself. You just kind of want to do the right thing for your team, but ultimately, if you just get it at the wrong time, get a penalty at the wrong time, you really do more harm than good, and it's hard because I don't blame. The linebacker, his name escapes me right now for the Bengals. Like I don't blame him for trying to get Mahomes down, but at the end of the day, it's like you gotta be better than that.
You gotta realize
you gotta be better than that.
It's vision on the field as to where you are. And something that I did like though from Cincinnati is their sense of camaraderie. When that happened, and that was the selling point as to who's going to win this game. That was the turning point. He got emotional on the bench, and the team covered him, and they were like consoling him, saying like, "Listen, it's not your fault. We get it." Probably telling him, but remember, you got to be better than that. We know you're better than this. But instead of leaving him there to be put on camera like that, they were like, "No. This is an in-house thing. You guys don't get to see this."
Yeah.
So that I like the uplifting teammate nature that's coming out of Cincinnati now. Where for a long time it was not like that. It was, I'm going to be here for myself, and then I'm going to leave. And now it's, no, we all believe in this, so we're going to do this. And we're going to do this together. And when we fuck up as a team. It's not you, we are a team.
Yeah, they do have a great sense of camaraderie amongst themselves. And that's honestly, there's really nothing more you could ask for in a football team. To just be there for one another and be a team. Just be a team. And the Bengals are a fierce team. They are going to be contenders for the next couple of years, so long as they have this core group of guys. And a lot of them are young. A lot of them are young guys, too. So the Bengals are they're here to stay. But so far, the Chiefs are still the team to beat. Yeah. And now Mahomes having Hall of Fame effort, that's whew.
It's going to take another one. But it's going to take another one to get past that defense.
Absolutely.
It's funny. Wasn't the coach of Philly, isn't he from the Andy Reid tree?
He is. Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni's from the Andy Reid tree.
Yeah, he was a coordinator. I believe he was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs in the early 2010s.
Okay, so the Alex Smith team.
Yes.
So, Master versus Apprentice in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Oh man, I love to see it too, because both teams are going to get creative in play calling. Just think, it takes one ridiculous play to just kind of change the tide of everything.
Just open up the game.
Philly special. The Philly special. It's you can say those two words and everyone knows exactly what you mean. It's that one play that Nick Foles had, that trick play against the Patriots. That was iconic. And I think that we have the makings. There are some football games that have names attached to them because they're just an image imprinted in your mind. I think this game has the title to be a game with a name.
Oh, for sure. This game is going to get a label. You want to know something that I saw that was actually really funny?
Mm-hmm.
I laughed really hard at this, and I shouldn't have. Both backups for Carson Wentz have brought the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yep. I don't know why that hit me so hard and made me laugh as hard as it did when I first read it, but I thought that shit was so funny because the Eagles bought into Carson Wentz so fucking hard, and it's like, no, both of his backups are better.
But just also think how fast they were able to turn themselves around by getting rid of Carson Wentz and moving on to a different style of play with different players and just kind of move on and evolve and be better. And Philly kind of had the foresight to be like, hey, look, we're going to keep Carson Wentz, but ultimately we're going to draft a quarterback to kind of keep us afloat and get a new head coach as well, Nick Sirianni. He seemed to be more than competent. I mean, he's really excelled as a coach. He reminds me, honestly, kind of Zach Taylor, having a lot of success early in his career, early in his coaching career.
Mm-hmm.
We say that a lot with Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. But honestly, Nick Sirianni should get a lot of credit too because the team that they have assembled is a fierce team, man. They are absolutely fierce. Like Philly's going to be a force to be reckoned with
for years to come. They're going to be the front runners in the NFC for years. You know, this is literally team to beat versus team to beat right now.
Yeah.
This is one that you can toss back and forth, and it's a coin flip as to who's going to win because you just don't know. Because both of these teams are coming in lithium hot coming into this game.
Mm-hmm.
But this coaching battle, I can't get over how good this coaching battle is going to be.
There's so many different battles there's so many great matchups to be thinking about this game. I'm also obviously going to be thinking Mahomes and Hurts. They have two different ways of getting it done, but my God, they can get it done. They get the job done.
They're the best in the league right now. It's 1 and 2 and argue amongst yourselves as to who's where.
They're the best at what they do.
Yeah.
And Mahomes, they have an absolute stellar passing offense. And to think, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. And they still had the number one passing offense league with the number one scoring offense in the league.
Right, and that, again, in my opinion, that comes down to coaching. That's Andy Reid. Again, he has the mold for a championship caliber offense. So, and I've got to give a shout out to Valdez-Scantling, man. He's picked up the weight of when they dropped Tyreek Hill. Valdez-Scantling is freaking unbelievable on that team. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye out for him.
I like him. I like Juju. I think Juju makes a good.
Juju is definitely a good fit. Mm-hmm. He's a great fit, but in terms of with Pittsburgh, we are habitual. We know how to draft wide receivers. So losing Juju, it was not the hardest loss to take. Same thing with Chase Claypool. Mm-hmm. You look at both of them. They both went to two teams. Chase Claypool had one catch. Mm-hmm. The rest of the season after the trade.
Yeah.
Juju, of course, he went into one of the best situations ever, and now he's on the road to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Good on you. Good on you. I wish we kept you, but you're too young to be on this. His whole thing with the TikTok dancing and shit like that. That doesn't fit the mold of Pittsburgh.
No, it really doesn't. But honestly, I think credit to Mahomes because Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he's playing phenomenal. This is the real definition of a spread offense because Mahomes had, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Bengals, no interceptions, but to 8 different receivers.
Right.
That is crazy to think about. And I mean, that obviously Travis Kelce gets the love and Tyreek was there. He's getting the love too. But man, to spread the wealth amongst different receivers where it's like, hey, look, if you're on this team, you're gonna catch a ball.
If you're open, I'm throwing it to you. That's just how it goes.
Exactly.
And that's what really we saw throughout these playoffs was distribution of the ball on offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at Cincinnati back in, I believe it was the divisional round. Joe Burrow had the same thing. He went 9 for 9 to 6 different receivers or some shit like that.
Yep.
You know, so the even distribution, and that's what I love about this game now,
Mm-hmm.
is that there's no clear cut. I have a safety net. It's I'm going to throw the ball and they're going to catch it.
Yep.
You know, the safety net quarterbacks, they're the ones that are falling into the back seat now. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, you know, they're the ones that are being pushed back because now you can't distribute the ball to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So your ball vision is becoming more singular, and the defensemen are just getting that much better.
Yeah, and it's to piggyback off that, when you're a quarterback that can distribute it to anywhere on the field is entirely open.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the thing, is like both teams, they're so good at what they do, and they have so much talent on both sides of the ball that both offenses, the whole field is wide open. And like there's no place on the field where it's like you're going to get specifically locked down. Obviously, teams are going to have a game plan, and I think Philly, they're going to want to get pressure on Mahomes and make him have a very uncomfortable day. So I do not doubt that they can get there, but I think at the same time, Kansas City, they're going to spread it around. For Philly, they're going to spread it from the inside out, from their run game, and then from there it gets one-on-one matchups with Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. And even Dallas Goedert on a one-on-one situation too. So everyone is open on the field. You could toss it to the back to Miles Sanders, Boston Scott.
I was just about to say that. Don't forget them because they can catch the ball real well.
Yeah, so both offenses just open up that playbook. Hey, anything that we have not seen, throw it in there. Make sure you get some reps with it, practice it, make sure it's executed well, and then just there's going to be that one play where it's going to be, wow, man. Fucking wow.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like for both of these teams, as good as these offenses are, we're going to have a wow moment on the defensive side. You know, you say that, again, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, that Philly needs to put pressure on quick. That's not going to happen quick because of just how good both of these respective offensive lines are.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of a wow moment, it's going to be a defensive turnover. An interception. Probably, I would think the bigger wow moment would be a forced fumble. Just because, again, it's a discipline thing. Just how smart both of these teams are with the ball. They cause fumbles. They don't fall victim to fumbles, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So both of these teams are very good at causing fumbles with how aggressive they are on defense.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Ndamukong Suh going to another Super Bowl. I love me some Ndamukong Suh. I hate the label that he was at one point the dirtiest player in the game. He was obviously frustrated when he was in Detroit. And then as he's moved on in the longevity of his career, he's had the right coaching, he's had the right people around him, and he's molded himself into one of the most under-the-radar best D tackles in the league. Mm-hmm. He's very under the radar now. You don't hear a word from him. You don't even know where he is half the time. And all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, he's on this team and he's a menace. Just an absolute menace. And he's one of those teammates that you want because they are always ready. At the drop of a dime, they're ready.
Oh, yeah. And you know what it is he doesn't need to be the focal point on there because they have a fantastic pass rush. Ndamukong Suh, Hassan Reddick, was it Jordan Poole, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham,
right?
Robert Quinn. You have a Hall of Fame caliber team. Like you just look at these players, it's like, well, Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer, Brandon Graham is a Hall of Famer, Ndamukong Suh probably a Hall of Famer.
If he gets another ring this year, his name's in the ballot.
I would put him as a Hall of Famer already, but
right.
But even still, even without the ring, he's got fantastic numbers. Robert Quinn, a proven veteran. He might be a Hall of Famer at some point in time. But, man, you have a lethal defensive line, and it's going to be a tough day for that Chiefs offensive line because that pass rush, they are fierce. They are something fierce. And, oh, man, the Philly's defense is great. I think they came away second in the league in turnovers with a fantastic point differential. I don't know the differential off the top of my head, but they had a fantastic point differential. So they are opportunistic and they can pick the ball. Anyone can just pick the ball.
Yeah. Got to tell you, though, one of my favorite matchups, like player to player that I'm waiting for, Chris Jones on Jason Kelsey, man. Ooh. Holy shit.
That's going to be fantastic.
Wait to watch that dogfight happen on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. For those who are going to watch this game, seriously, take a gander at the line of scrimmage, and you're going to see Jason Kelsey and Chris Jones. It's just two alpha male silverbacks going after it for 60 minutes.
When the Eagles are on offense and the Chiefs are on defense.
Yes.
So it's number 95 on the Chiefs.
And number 62 on the Eagles.
On the Eagles. So he's
just two absolute alpha males.
Coming off some of their best games in their career.
Yeah.
And they're red hot.
Red hot.
It's going to be a battle for the trenches, and I think both teams, they match up so well to one another.
Absolute fist fight.
They match up so well to one another because not only their offense is pretty good, but man, Steve Spagnuolo called a really good defense against the Bengals last week, and they got pressure. They had, you know what it is they have a lot of good rookies stepping up right now. They have I think 8 starting rookies on their team. To name a few, George Karlaftis.
They had 8 on that team.
Yeah, they had 8 starting rookies on the Chiefs, and George Karlaftis on the line, who had a sack.
Yes, he did.
Trent McDuffie, Sky Moore. These are rookies that are really stepping up right now, and it's Pacheco.
Love Pacheco.
He came in so clutch for the Chiefs this year that now they have a fully an operational running game.
Yeah.
Where he's not the number one, but they have a great running back system, much like Philly, where they have Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So you have a fantastic 3 combo.
I believe they also have Damian Williams still, but he's hurt.
No, he's not on the Chiefs.
He's not on the Chiefs anymore?
No.
All right.
No. Last I checked, he was on the Saints.
Okay.
But nevertheless, they have a fantastic running back core that, much like the Eagles, can also run it north-south, but also be vital parts of the passing game. Yes. So they are, again, much like the Eagles and the Chiefs, the whole field is wide open.
One of my favorite things, and I'm glad that you brought up Jerick McKinnon, one thing I like seeing him when it comes to the passing game is his step-up pass blocking. When you watch a team step back to pass, whether they shotgun, pistol, even behind center, and the running back is not an eligible receiver, they have to fill a hole for usually there's a blitzing linebacker coming through. And now you got to think about the size difference when it comes to a running back to a linebacker. Running back, usually they range between 160 to 180 pounds, 5'5" to 5'8". I'm going to say that because of Boston Scott with how small he is.
They're about like 5'11", like just under 6 foot.
But they're always under 200 pounds, except for the few north-south backs.
Floating 200, just about, yeah.
But then you look over at the linebackers, 5'10" to 6'3", 190 to 250. There's a range there.
There's a size difference there.
There's a big size difference. And for Jerick McKinnon, he flatbacks linebackers on a step-up chip block. Mm-hmm. And just to give Patrick Mahomes that extra second or two, that's really what sets them apart from a lot of offenses, is running backs who are not afraid to take the bottom. Mm-hmm. And Jerick McKinnon does it like the best of them.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of, because he's a great utility guy. So he can block extremely well, he can run extremely well, and he can catch and run extremely well. He reminds me of James White on the Patriots when they were going through their Super Bowls.
Okay.
James White, especially in the Atlanta Super Bowl.
The comeback year.
Yeah, that comeback year. James White was the one that got that touchdown. And I think he had 3 touchdowns that day with over 100, more than 100 scrimmage yards I know that. So again, when Jerick McKinnon is utilized, the field opens up. And that's the thing is Mahomes is going to spread the ball around, and he's going to make sure everyone gets some sugar. Everyone's going to get some love. Everyone's going to get a chance to make a play. And will he turn it over? Yeah. Will Philly get a lead? My guess is yeah, but I will not count out the Chiefs
Never.
by any deficit because we've just seen it time and time again. Here's a stat for you: when the Chiefs and Mahomes, when they are down 14 or more points, Mahomes has a 60% winning percentage.
Oh my God! So he has a higher winning percentage being down by 2 possessions than most teams who win the league.
He just wins so many games that. And he could play like dog shit in the first half. Does not matter. They're going to come back. Right. So if Philly gets a lead, I would not be like, do not count the Chiefs out. Or vice versa. If the Chiefs get a lead, Philly's not out either.
No, absolutely not.
So that's the thing is, no team can be safe. That's why you got to score as many points as you can. Because 20 points ain't going to be enough to stop Philly. 20 points ain't going to be enough to stop the Chiefs.
No, we've been saying a couple weeks in a row, like the first team to 20 is going to win. The first team to 30 in this game is probably going to. This is going to be a very high scoring.
35 kind of guarantees it.
35 can almost guarantee you to win. I feel like it's going to be like a 27-30 victory. Mm-hmm. Like whoever wins is going to be It's going to be a one possession game. Probably the first turnover of the game is going to settle it because it's not going to happen till late because that's just how good these two teams are. You know, like they will play their highest. It's going to come down to conditioning. Is really what it's going to be. Who is the most conditioned team to win this game? You know, if you can last longer with all your stars, even when you're running on fumes, who's the team that's going to outlast who?
Yeah.
You know, you just need to outlast the other, but it's such a tall order on both sides.
I think whoever has the ball last, that decides it. That's the thing is I think it's going to come down to it. For Philly, it's not going to be a blowout because the Chiefs – they can come back at any point in the game. Mahomes could just get on a hot streak and score 21 points like that. And it's...
yeah, but at the same time, Philly is the same team. They can come and score 30 in a matter of 3 quarters.
Yeah, and it's absolutely disgusting. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, think about when Philly was in it last time. It was 41-33. That was a great Super Bowl to watch. That was one of my personal favorite Super Bowls to watch. And again, it's iconic. It's a Cinderella story. Philly special. You could just
the Philly special.
The Philly special. Whereas Mahomes, he doesn't really have like that name game, but man, he just fucking slings it. He has so many great. He has the comeback. He has the comeback. I guess all his games are just the comebacks.
He's the comeback kid. Is really what it is. That should be his nickname. Is the comeback kid.
He's just probably the best quarterback again in comeback scenarios. He's so clutch.
Probably. It's weird. He's like a mold, like a hybrid of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Because Peyton Manning was the comeback kid, and then Tom Brady's the guy. You know what? I'm just gonna put you away and show you that I'm just better. Mm-hmm. Now, you put them two together, you have Patrick Mahomes. It's like, oh, let's not forget he can run. So he can run like Dante Culpepper. You know, he's fast as shit, throws the ball on a dime, in a laser beam, can throw 40-plus touchdowns, can throw over 5,000 yards, multiple MVPs. We're watching quarterback from here out. We're going to be watching quarterback be played at its highest level all across the league. We're watching the perfect quarterbacks, I think, for the next couple of years.
I got to say, with Jalen Hurts, man, I love to see him succeed. He's just, much like Mahomes, they have really earned their success within the league. Like, they have worked hard at what they do to become the best players that they can be. And Mahomes is playing on a whole nother level. But, man, Hurts, he's getting it done through a whole different style of running quarterback, where it's like, he can be the quarterback that definitively proves that, hey, look, running quarterbacks can get it done.
Yeah, but in the same light, it's a little bit different, and
they do it differently.
I'm not even just. Yeah. I'm talking about overall, like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. And let me explain. Patrick Mahomes was embraced immediately in Kansas City. Jalen Hurts was a year away from being traded. Think about that. Mm-hmm. He was benched, did not play, and they did not want him. Openly said they did not want him. And he remembers that. There was a post-game interview, I believe it was after this game, and they asked him how he felt. He remembers a time when this team and place did not want him here.
Mm-hmm.
So he's using that as fuel. He's not playing in spite, but he's using that. He's been sold short his entire football career. Can't make it here. He was traded. He left Alabama, went into the transfer portal, and went to Oklahoma because he was played over.
Yep.
In Philly, he was played over. They were getting a year away to trade him. He goes, all right, just let me get my chance. And then I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to make you eat your words, and I'm going to be humble about it. But don't think I'm going to forget.
Mm-hmm.
So they're playing with a different type of chip on their shoulder. Mahomes, he has the chip of, I have an entire city behind me. Hurts is playing with, I had to put an entire city behind me and make them believe. So it's just that much more grit in Jalen Hurts than there is in Patrick Mahomes, if that makes sense.
I do get what you mean, because both teams were kind of set up in different situations where Philly, they're starting fresh. They wanted to move on from Doug Peterson, so they got in Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni's like, well, because Jalen Hurts' rookie year, they still had Doug Peterson.
And Doug Peterson wanted nothing to do with it.
And so they fired Doug Peterson, and Philly didn't really do that good. I think they went like 4-12 or something like that. Hurts started, I think, 4 games or so, but he had a big win against the Saints. So it's like, okay, there's something there.
Right.
And then so Nick Sirianni comes in the following year, and then he says, okay, look, Jalen's going to be our starting quarterback. We're going to run a full season with him. And they went 9-8 last year. They were the number 1 rushing team in the league. And Nick Sirianni says,
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again, but better. And they did it better. And now they are the best team in the NFC, and they were just on a sheer dominance from the get-go. Their first primetime game was week 2 against the Vikings. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And we thought that was going to be a close game, but Philly said no.
They just put
the hurt on, and we said, man, Philly is here. Yeah. Philly is here because they look like a very great, well-rounded team. The offense scored 21 points early. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Sat on the lead. We're good. You're not going anywhere.
And that's the great part about both of these teams, is that they're both like foot to throat teams. Like that is immediate. They're going for the throat immediately. They are both apex predators in this league, where you won't find anything but kill shots coming your way. And even like their stiff jabs can be kill shots at points because of just how much talent is there. Like you try to go for a zone run, each team can break that for 50, 60-yard run, and it's like, we're going to cut you, and we're going to cut you good. Like a simple yardage game play can be turned into a fucking breakout touchdown play.
Yeah, and
at any point.
We've seen it. We've seen it before where it just takes one good move for a player to just make one good play to change the whole game. And we're going to see that. We're going to see a lot of players that want to play well. And these teams, well, you and I were talking off air, honestly, this game is going to be the start of a dynasty between these two teams. Now, for either team, because in the NFL, a dynasty is a team that's won 3 or more Super Bowls within a 10-year span. So, Philly, their last one was 6 years ago, under a different regime. And now they have a completely new regime, and it's just as good, if not better than what it was that year. And now the Chiefs, you have Andy Reid finally get the quarterback of his dreams, and now they have been on a tear of dominance. So, like Brady left the AFC, the Chiefs said, "We will fill that vacuum.
We'll just step in, and we aren't going to leave.
We're going to be the powerhouse of the AFC." And for 5 years straight, they have held the AFC conference title game in Arrowhead.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous to think about.
Ridiculous.
No team has ever done that before. They are the team to beat in the AFC, and I hope honestly for Philly, for years to come, they are the team to beat in the NFC because they look so good. And when Philly is doing good as a football team, it's so fun.
Yeah, I think it has to do with just how rowdy that fan base is.
Oh my god!
Because it's just an adventure watching that fan base when they win.
I will always refer to when they won the Super Bowl, some dude ate horse shit.
Right, and that is the consensus. If that's what they do when they win, may the gods help the city if they lose.
They grease up their they're poles so people don't climb on them.
Right. They
And it
grease up
fails.
the traffic signs, the traffic poles, so they don't do it.
They do
it anyway.
Every time.
You know what I was thinking about? They better be putting flame retardant stuff on those poles because they lose. Every traffic pole is going up in flames.
Well, if Philly wins or loses, the city is going to riot either way.
For at least a week.
Yeah.
For at least a week, and then probably a week after the parade. They're a team where, like, they're a fan base where even if they lose the Super Bowl, they're having a goddamn parade because we got there.
But to think that this is their second Super Bowl in 6 years, that is a hallmarks of a very successful organization. So if they win this, maybe we're under the Philly dynasty. Or if the Chiefs win, then the Chiefs dynasty is here.
You see, what's great, though, not to cut you off, is with Philly, this is probably the best team that the city of Philadelphia has ever seen.
Yes.
Like, throughout, the best team that has ever touched the field in a Philadelphia uniform.
Mm-hmm.
They are giving me the same vibes as, like, the 83 Chicago Bears, the baddest football team that ever touched the field.
Oh, the 85 Bears.
Yeah, the Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
And the Fridge.
Yep. The Fridge, yep.
Mike Ditka is coach.
Yep.
So that's the vibe that I'm getting from this team. Just nasty. 60 minutes of I'm going to punch you in the face and I'm going to make it hurt. And you're going to know you just played Philadelphia.
Yeah, because we talk about their defensive line. Their defensive line is absolutely stacked with Hall of Famers. And it's going to be – people are going to be hurt this game. But, man, people are going to play through it because it's the goddamn Super Bowl.
Both of these teams are – after this game, they're going to be grateful that this is the last game of the year.
Ooh, man. This is going to be a fantastic game.
So, John Halpin.
Oh.
I look at you and I ask you, who you got? Super Bowl 57. Who do you got?
Oh, man. This question has rattled my mind for this since the matchup started. I'm like, oh, man, this is so great. The best of the best of what they do against Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, offensive line in the trenches, playmakers on both sides of the ball. But I ultimately think the Chiefs are going to win it. I think Chiefs dynasty is upon itself. Andy Reid, he just, again, Mahomes is on a whole nother tear. And Andy Reid, when it's you know me, when it's master-apprentice coaching matchups, I always got to give it to the master because they pull out that one ace, the one card. They reveal their trap card. It's like, you fool.
Right. So I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know.
Exactly. So ultimately, when I come down to it, I love this game, and I think this is going to be a fantastic game to watch. But ultimately, I think the Chiefs are going to win. If I had to pick a score, I would say about 35-30. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Both teams are great at what they do. And it's going to be so hard to stop either one.
I want you to know I've been thinking about who I think is going to win the entirety of this recording. And I've been thinking about it since last week. And I still don't know. Gotta tell you.
I got a quarter if you want to flip on it.
Yeah. We're going to flip a coin.
Boom.
All right.
He's going to flip a coin, ladies and gentlemen.
Heads is Chiefs. Tails is Eagles. My team is with the Chiefs.
It's going to be a Chiefs kingdom.
Things happening for the Chiefs. No, I can't do that. I think the Eagles. In my heart of hearts, I think Philly is just.
Tell me why, though.
It's just that defense. That defense is really
that D line.
That D line. I love Nick Sirianni. I love Andy Reid. But Master Apprentice, I think usually it's a master that takes it. But it's only a matter of time until the apprentice gets just that amount of talent where they can figure something else out that the master had never taught before.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know this, but I also have this. You may have a trap card, but I have a magic card.
Mm-hmm.
And the magic in Philly, I feel like can trump the traps that's going to come from Kansas City. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game. I think it's going to be 42-35. Philadelphia.
Ooh, okay. Hey, I would not be mad either way, but man, the Andy Reid Bowl, the Kelsey Bowl,
the Dynasty Bowl.
The Dynasty Bowl. A dynasty is going to be born this game,
yes.
And it's going to be so fun to watch. And I just can't stop thinking about it. This is going to be such a fun Super Bowl to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you have it, guys. It's Super Bowl, the greatest game of the year. It is set. The match is there. Hall of Fame, Dynasty, 2 elite coaches, Master versus Apprentice. Call it however you want it. This is going to be one of the greatest games of the year, without a doubt. So please just leave a like, a comment, subscribe. Let us know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, who you got?
Who do you think? What do you think the score is going to be? You know, I know everyone's now talking about points for their Super Bowl boxes. These are your predictions as to what you think is going to happen. Let us know. And we will be here for the Super Bowl recap and a yearly recap next week for the yearly recap. And then when the Super Bowl is said and done, we will be back for another recap of the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. So until then, you all have fun in the Super Bowl, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, man. It's going to be fun.